If you're working with large numbers in the thousands, millions, or even billions, it sometimes is easier to read if those numbers are displayed in that context. For example, if you know that the population of California is 36,961,000, you might just say, well, it's 37 million. If it's Texas here, looking at what we're seeing, you might say that's 24.8 million. In other words, it's not uncommon to refer to numbers in millions or in some cases thousands or in billions. But let's actually consider displaying these. If we would like to display these as 36.9, actually that'd be 40 there, 24.8, 19.5, and so on. One way to do this, not the best way, but certainly doable, is to write formulas in column D that would actually divide these by 1,000. Or another technique would be to select this data, and by copying 1,000 out of a single cell, we could use paste special value and divide these by 1,000. But we want to keep the numbers the same. We only want to change the display. So let's try this in column B first. And what we want to do here is to go to Format Cells by way of Control-1 and use what's called a custom format. Now, the choice here will not be very logical, but it does work. I'm going to select one of the early examples here. This one will work okay. Now, here's what's unusual. If I put in a single trailing comma, it means suppress 3 characters to the left of the decimal. In other words, this would display the numbers in thousands, and I'll do that first. A simple single comma at the end of the format. It displays these in thousands. That's it. Let's go back, Control-1 again. We put in 2 commas, it'll display these in millions. Okay. Now, it might be better to use the decimals here. We don't necessarily have to do that, but I'll press Control-1 again. This time, before the 2 commas, I'll put in 0.0. Now, in all cases here, we are not changing the content. Click OK. If I click cell B2, look in the formula bar, you see the real amount, it's there. If we use this in calculations, if someone says, what happens if the population of California goes up by 10%? Equal this number times 1.1, that's a 10% growth. There's our answer. Now, of course, we would round that to a whole number, but that displays the number as it actually is. That's 40,657,000. So we see what happens here. We can display these numbers in a more sensible way. We might want to do this with the sales and the population, just one or possibly both. And if the number's in billions or in thousands, we can do something similar. So a single comma lets us display numbers in thousands, single trailing comma in that format. 2 trailing commas, as we've used here, displays the numbers in millions, and we can add the decimal before it. So once again, just by pressing Control-1 or right-click Format Cells, we see the display. This ends in 0.0, comma, comma. And if we were to keep this here, we probably should adjust our heading to say population, and then in parentheses, in millions, to make that obvious. There we are. And possibly do line wrap on that or make the column wider so it displays. So an unusual technique, an unusual formatting technique, but it does display the numbers in a more convenient way to use them.